Carlene, darling viewers, it's Jen here at Check Her Joy, and this time I'm reviewing Murder in an Irish Churchyard. This is by Carlene O'Connor, and this is the third book in her Irish Village mystery series. So this is a cozy mystery set in a small town in Ireland, and it follows Siobhán O'Sullivan, who, in this book, finally becomes a garda, which is one of the police. So in the first two books, she's been investigating these murders in her small town, but from outside the police force, and everybody's like, Siobhán, can you please not do this? You are not a Garda. So, to resolve that conflict, Siobhán has become one of the police herself, which is like, finally, yes! Probably the most exciting part about this book, honestly, is getting to see Siobhán finally become a Garda and see what actual police work feels like, and I love it. So, before Siobhán's first day even begins, the town's priest comes running to her door super early in the morning. Doesn't exactly wake her up because she's super nervous about the job, but like drags her out of the house while she's still in her pajamas, takes her to this churchyard, and there is a dead body in it. I mean, it's a graveyard, there's supposed to be dead bodies, but this is a fresh dead body that is above ground and sitting in a pool of blood. So Siobhán starts investigating. And she does for a second think that it's protocol for her to call it into the police station, but she's just really excited, and it's snowing, and she doesn't want the evidence to get covered up, so she starts taking pictures, and then she calls it into her coworkers, who kind of get mad at her for not following protocol, especially on her first day, and start picking on her. So the victim of this murder turns out to be this American businessman who was in Ireland researching his family history. And he is there with other members of his family, as well as a film crew, because they're making it into a documentary. And it seems like everybody around him has a motive for him to die, because he was this wealthy businessman, and also family secrets. So basically everyone around him seems like a possible suspect, and trying to figure out who's who and what all their secrets are, and whether or not it's actually cause for murder. So I found the suspects and the family really interesting. Each of the characters, they were entertaining and quirky enough that I liked them. Unlike book 2, where I absolutely hated every single suspect and was like, any of them could do it. This book, I mean, I still thought like everyone could do it, but at least they were likable characters. And I was interested in this family history thing. Maybe it's the part of me that is the granddaughter of a genealogist who has Irish roots that would totally love to go check out, where my family lived in Ireland and what their stories were. Like, I get the researching the family history part. So I like this family a lot more than, say, book 2, where I hated every single member of the wedding party and thought they were all evil, awful humans, and I was like, you know what, any of you could have done it just because you're so awful. This one, it's a little bit harder. There are definitely motives and reasons why everyone could have done it, but trying to sort out who actually did it was interesting. And I love this book a lot more than book 2, by the way. And so my favorite part of this book, though, has got to be the family and relationship aspect of it. So, I mean, part of it is the family researching their history and how tight they are, and that becomes a major theme in this book. We also see Siobhán's family, because she is the second oldest of 6 kids, and ever since their parents died in a car accident, I think it's been 4 years now, Siobhán has been in charge of taking care of the younger siblings and running the family bistro. And while her older brother James has sobered up and become more reliable, Siobhán still feels like she's the mother and kind of in charge of these guys. I love all of her younger siblings, and actually just am sad that they didn't appear more. Like, I want more of Siobhán's family and getting to see, like, there's just 6 of them. There's too many of them to properly, like, get into each of them throughout the entire book. It would need to be a much longer book, and I would totally read that, but I kind of get it. We do find out more about the sisters. So we have Grania, who's older, and she's gone off to New York, and now she's come back for, like, the holidays, and how she plans on going back to New York. And then we find out that the other sister, I want to say her name is Anne, maybe, has developed this interest in a sport, and it's a very, like, sort of a masculine, I think it's lacrosse type thing. It's a ball and stick sport that she's gotten really into, and it's not seen as terribly ladylike, and so the two sisters don't necessarily see eye to eye. The one, Grania, is super girly, whereas the younger sister is not, and I loved seeing them become their own people. And also watching the boys grow up also, as they actually become teenagers. So I love Siobhán's family in this book. Like, this entire series, Siobhán's family is one of my favorite parts. And of course, there's also the relationship she has with Macdara, who is her ex-boyfriend. In the first book, they started going out. The second book, that kind of, it was a little rough there for a bit, and Siobhán's decision to join the police force without consulting him, the guy who was actually a police officer, kind of doesn't go too well, and so they end up breaking it off while Siobhán goes off to college. And when she comes back, Macdara has taken a position in Dublin, where he's a detective in a different city. However, because their town is so small, they don't have their own detective, and so Macdara is the one reassigned to this city, because he knows the area, to help investigate, because now he's an official detective, which is kind of cool. And so he takes this mentoring role with Siobhán, which is interesting because of their relationship. How they used to date, but then they broke up, and it's kind of a little bit rocky, and trying to sort out how, like, are we still friends? Are we still good? Like, what is this now? Is it just work? Can we talk about family? This is a small town. Like, everybody knows everybody else's business. Like, where do we draw that line? And getting to watch Siobhán and Macdara together is one of my favorite parts of the series, and particularly this book. There is definitely still some chemistry going on between these two, and at least on Siobhán's part, she still loves him and cares about him, and he's still the one for her. And the question is whether or not Macdara feels the same way, and whether or not they can sort through why they broke up. So I love seeing that. I love Macdara taking this mentoring role, and Siobhán being guided through, like, this is how the police actually operate, this is how we do things by the book. Like, Macdara is repeatedly telling her we have to do things by the book, because in the last two books she didn't do that. But also teaching her how we actually can do things, how can go in there and investigate, what kind of evidence we're taking up, who we go and ask for more help from, like within the department. So I really love Macdara. He's one of my favorite parts of the series also. And of course, Siobhán's already solved 2 other major murders, so it's not like she doesn't know how to solve a mystery. In fact, she's probably more qualified than anybody else to do this, except, the experience with police officeringness. So, like I said, family is a big part of this book, so is history. The families, they're researching their family history, and there's also kind of a mystery within their family past that they were trying to figure out, and that Siobhán is also trying to sort out, where she gets embroiled in this family's kind of their stuff. Whether or not the family history is motivating the current murder and current what's going on with that family. I really enjoyed this book. I think book 1 in the series is still my favorite. Also, you could totally go into this and just read book 3 without having read books 1 and 2. Everything is well explained, and unlike book 2, it does not spoil the endings of the first 2 books. However, book 2 does kind of have a throwaway line, which ends up spoiling what happened in book 1. So you could start with book 3 or start with book 1. I don't suggest starting with book 2. So book 1 is still probably my favorite. Just because we really get into her family and how each of her siblings, like, their personalities and what they care about, and also getting to see her town, which is so cool. My favorite part about living in a small town is having all these quirky characters. We didn't get that as much in the last 2 books because she's dealing with outside suspects, and so we're spending a lot more time researching outsiders rather than book 1, where it was somebody in the village, theoretically, who did it. Book 3 is a good jumping on point. Everything is well explained. You just aren't going to have quite as much background on the characters about Siobhán and her family and the town and Macdara if you jump into book 3. So I've already reviewed the other 2 books in the series. Book 2 is Murder in an Irish Wedding, and book 1 is Murder in an Irish Village. And I'll post a link to those 2 reviews down in the description below if you want to check those out also. If you have read this book or been reading this series, let me know what you think of these guys and how awesome is Siobhán and also Macdara. Oh, those are 2 of my favorite parts of the series, honestly. I need the 2 of those to get married. I need Siobhán and Macdara to get married. I need it, guys. It is necessary. They are, in my opinion, destined for each other. Oh, on the whole, I gave this book 4 stars. The entire series is 4 stars. I really do love this series. Just book 2 was barely got that 4-star rating, whereas books 1 and 3 were like, yes, these are solidly 4 stars. So peace out. I love you guys, and keep reading. Bye.